How's it going, Amazing Blue fans? It's not a good Sunday for us right now, but I wanted to do a video last night. Got caught up on doing some stuff, so I'm putting it on today. And so let's just get into it. As always, like, share, subscribe to my page, and we're just gonna talk about this. So last night's game, Michigan versus Michigan State at the Big House. It was 14-10 final score. Usually I go through stats. I'm not really going to get into the stats because they don't mean much for that game, because second half was a wash. It was basically a monsoon. So you couldn't really expect too much. But let's just get into what happened. So Michigan comes out, gets the ball first, and basically marches down the field. 16-play drive. Took up about 5 minutes. You know, it was a good drive. Like, it looked like we were gonna run over them, but we stall out in the red zone, kick a field goal. Michigan State stalls out, and we get the ball back, and we're marching it down again. And Ty Isaac fumbles. When I tell you this one fumble changed the whole complexion of the game, it was ridiculous. Like, it was just ridiculous how big that fumble was. Like, it basically changed the whole scenario of the first half. It was just amazing. But Michigan State takes over, and they basically march down from about the 40, about from Michigan State's 40, and Lewerke scores on like a 15, 20-yard scramble. And so it's 7-3. And so Michigan really can't get anything going after that. And then Michigan State gets another drive, and they end up scoring again. Their second touchdown, they marched about 80 yards, and they kind of exposed our defense for a couple things. One, the defense, they're young, so they have a tendency sometimes of being undisciplined. And it cost us against Purdue when they scored a couple times, and it cost us last night. Like, they'll get too undisciplined, and they'll follow plays and won't stay at home on reads and stuff like that. And so it bit us in the first half last night. And Michigan State scores on a screen, and the guy walks in, and he has three blockers out in front of him, and they literally don't have anyone to block for like 10 yards. There's nobody to block because everybody bit on the play action. It was like a play action slip screen. No, it was a play action running back screen, and everybody just bit on it. So they basically walk in the end zone. And so Michigan basically, after that, Michigan's defense kind of pulls it back together, but Michigan's offense just can't get it. We can't sustain any drives anymore because the receivers aren't getting the separation, and the offensive line is just bad. Like, they exposed our offensive line, and that should have us worried for the rest of the season. The way they exposed our offensive line last night, I'm worried about the rest of the season because the competition is just going to get better for the most part. We still got Penn State, Wisconsin, and Ohio State. So it's not looking good as far as that offensive line, because O'Korn can make the throws, but he doesn't have time. He doesn't have time to sit back there. But one thing I will say, the game might have been different. It was just everything that could go wrong for Michigan went wrong in that first half. And so it just messed up everything. Like, we scored a touchdown to Crawford. It was like a 60-yard pass on a scramble. John O'Korn, he does a great job of keeping his head downfield when he scrambles. I have to give him that. And he scrambles out to the right, rolls out to the right, and hits Crawford on like a 50-yard bomb. Wide open, walks in the end zone. It gets called back because Higdon held a lineman. So it was just just like everything was going wrong for Michigan that first half. Once Ty Isaac fumbled, like everything went bad. It went from the fumble to penalty after penalty. Devin Bush had a personal foul penalty, which kept the drive going, turned a loss into a first down, and there were a bunch of pass interferences, and it was just ridiculous. Like halfway through the second half, I kind of had the feeling like, all right, this is gonna be one of those games where if we win this game, it's gonna be amazing, because it was a snowball effect, and it was just everything was going wrong. And even when we were trying to mount a drive at the end of the half, O'Korn scrambles again, makes something out of nothing, and finds one of the tight ends, and he starts running, gets held by his foot. I don't know why he just didn't go down. He was held by the foot, like you weren't gonna go anywhere. Like you're fighting for yards. Just get down, because we're trying to manage the clock anyway. Just get down. You got as many yards as you can. Get down. He stays up, gets blasted from behind. Like he doesn't get blasted like for his body. He just blasted his ball carrying arm. He had the ball in his right arm, and the guy just comes from behind and just blasts his arm. Like he literally just went for the hit on his arm. Ball goes flying out. Michigan State gets it, and they take a knee for the half. Second half, we score. We come out with good field position, and we end up scoring a touchdown. But then it starts to monsoon. So like if it didn't monsoon, I don't have a doubt that we probably could have and would have won that game. But once it started monsooning and just raining like that, like nobody could do anything. Like it was just basically a wash. Like the way that game went, whoever won the first half basically was going to win the game unless it was a tie game. So us playing that bad cost us, because the weather just kind of canceled out the second half. Like you just couldn't play in that. So, but now I want to just talk about the offense. I'm not going to get into the defense really, because they just make young mistakes, but then they kind of make up for it. They just kind of stop it. They make up for they make mistakes, and then they get back to playing how they're supposed to play. So I'm not going to really get on the defense. It's just the offense. There's a couple things I want to talk about the offense. One major thing, our offensive line is just, I don't know. What amazes me is we were moving the ball on them, like getting good yardage, running the ball and everything. But once Isaac fumbled, it's like the Michigan State defense gained so much confidence from him fumbling. And it just changed everything about the way they went after us. Like it gave them so much confidence, it was ridiculous. And so that's the one thing. But the offensive line it's just bad. Like they were coming free, and I can't blame it all on the offensive line. It's also the running backs picking up protection. Like the running backs, when you watch that game, you see why we don't have a number one back that we just feature, and he's in for first down through third down. Like we don't have a 1 through third down back, because they all have trouble picking up the blitz. Like they were all like confused. Like they just weren't patient, like on the blitz. Like they would be sitting in the right spot, and then they'd go try to help somebody else. They try to go help the left side of the offensive line, and then all of a sudden a delayed blitz come to the spot that you just left. Like sometimes if there's nobody to block, you just have to sit there and wait for somebody. Like you don't have to just run. And then when he actually did that, the left side of the line had the lineman blocked. Like you didn't have to do that. You should have just stayed there and just zone, just watch and see who comes free, and then you help. But as soon as he leaves, the guys come through free. Like, and I saw it happen a couple times, 2, maybe 3 times. And it was just like, man, like, know your assignment and like know what you have to get done. So it's not just on the offensive line. It also comes into the running backs with their protection, like knowing who they have to pick up and who's going to be the free man. And so, but that, and then the receivers. Our receivers, we can't get separation. Like, they can't get separation if on just regular plays. And I would like to see them run more fly routes. Like, they run some fly routes or go routes, but they throw them like within 20, 30 yards. So I'd like to see them wait, like give the receiver a little more time to get deep. But then again, with the offensive line being as bad as it is, you can't really trust that you're gonna have that time to let the wide receiver run a go route for like 40 yards or something. Because we have wide receivers that can get open, get deep, but it takes them a minute to get going. Like, they don't just beat their man right off the line. Like, they're not there yet. Because they're just young, so they don't have the training yet, the weight room training to get that extra speed. They're not just speedsters right off the bat coming in. So they're fast, but they're not just quick and fast. So they, after probably this year, they'll probably be beating dudes off the line like that. They're just young. And it just shows how much we really did need Tariq Black. Because he was a beast. That dude was a beast. But that's a problem. The receivers, that's going to be a problem for the rest of the year in the O-line. And it kind of comes in together. Because if you have receivers that can get open fast, you can run certain routes and you can just expect them to be open fast. But the receivers we have, they're not getting open like that. And our tight ends, the best thing we have is the tight ends. But you can't count on tight ends consistently to get open to run your pass offense through them. Like, it just doesn't work like that. So the offensive line, it affects the running game, and it affects your passing game, of course. And then the receivers not getting open, it just basically turns into what our offense has been. The better competition we face, the worse our offense kind of looks. And so we can expect that for probably the rest of the year, like, real talk. And we have to cut down on the penalties on offense, the holdings, and on defense somewhat. But for defense, I would say I would like to see us run more zones. Like, really just run more zones when we play a running quarterback. So instead of when you're just in a man defense and you're chasing the whole time, you're chasing, so you're not watching the quarterback. So as soon as he gets into some trouble, he can run, and there's literally like nobody. If one of the linemen don't get him, he's going to get 10 yards at least. So I'd like to see us get in some zones more often when we play a running quarterback. Let's get in some zones and just sit back and watch the quarterback. But that might be because we got so many young corners, so he might not trust them fully with the zones to a zone, because a zone is more setting it up, playing with the quarterback. A zone, you playing mind games with the quarterback, making them think you're in the man sometimes, and then dropping, and so. But that game messed us up. The first half cost us. Like, coming out how we've came out, like, for the last 2-3 weeks, it caught up to us because we didn't have that second half to finish it off because it was a monsoon or whatever you want to call it. It was just raining really hard. So we didn't have that time to get anything going because you couldn't execute in that. Like, you couldn't execute in it. So it just made the game. Whoever won the first half basically won the game because once it started raining, it was over. Like, no points were scored, no nothing. Like, nothing got done once that happened. So we'll see. I think we have Penn State next. I'm not sure about that. I'm going to have to check the schedule, but Harbaugh has to do something about that O-line. Like, that's our biggest problem right now. And it kind of worries me because it's like, we should have good offensive linemen. I mean, you're at Michigan in a pro-style offense that's going to run. Harbaugh's going to run it, and he's going to run a pro-style offense. So it's like we shouldn't have problems getting good offensive linemen and having a good offensive line. I don't know. But that's my video for today. I mean, it's a sad day, but one thing about college, you can lose one game, and we lost kind of early. So, I mean, it looks like it's going to be bad from here on out, maybe. But I'm just going to be optimistic and hope we can get it together because, hey, we still got Penn State. We still got Wisconsin. We still got Ohio State. So, we're still in the mix. We just can't lose any more conference games if we want to win the Big Ten. You know, so I'm just trying to be optimistic today because I watched that first half, and the way when Isaac fumbled, it was like quicksand. Like it all just went kind of bad. Penalties, the penalties started. Freaking offensive penalties, defensive penalties. They had the touchdown called back. We fumbled before the half. Like, I saw the way the game was playing out. My hope went out the window because I know how games like that go. When you're making mistakes like that, mental mistakes, because a lot of them were just mental mistakes. And then Michigan is catching lucky passes. The guy tips it. We almost pick it. He tips it, and then he catches it. It was just like, there was just so much going their way and so much not going our way in that first half. So it is what it is, but we're going to look for the future, you know. As always, like, share, subscribe, and comment below. Let's get some conversation on what we thought about last night's game. And as always, go blue.